Oh, man. Big noise.
Jump right into it. Well, Coach Shipps, man, give me the beginning, the bio. Where you from? You know, how'd you come up? All of the personals from little boyhood.
Well, I started right here in good old Tulsa, Oklahoma. Went to Gilcrease Junior High. That's where it all started for me. Went from there to McLean, and from there I jumped into the military. Was in the military for 21 years. And then after that, came right back here and got started at Monroe Junior High, and that's where we went on our run.
You went right back to the north where it all began.
I wanted to go back there first because when I got finished, tell you a little story.
Okay.
Army Junior ROTC program. You know, in the high school, you make a lot more money than you would ever do in a junior high. But when the opportunity came for me to go back out north and be with our people, I jumped on it. And you talking about, at that time, it probably was about a $10,000 pay cut. Some people looked at me like I was crazy.
Yeah.
But, you know, I wanted to give back. That was my number one goal. When I joined the Army as a youngster, I went to the youth center, sort of like the YMCA, and I started coaching there.
Coaching basketball?
Coaching basketball.
Okay.
As a 20-year-old. And I always knew at that point that I wanted to do something with kids as far as coaching.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the beginning when it's at the YMCA, a lot of times it's like it's unisex. You got boys and girls sort of combined. How was it for you?
Oh yeah, that's what it was for me. And then when I got to Monroe, my first group was girls.
How was that?
A lot of people don't know it, and it was different. It was very different because the things that you can say to guys on the floor, you can't say to girls.
True.
Yeah, but I got to learn things about, you know, when they have their cycles and things like that. And they were talking to me about not practicing. And I would say to them, if it was game day, would you play? And they would say, yeah. I said, well, if you can play, you're going to practice.
That's right.
Yeah, so.
And so they hung themselves on that one, right?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
Oh no, I'm back up just a bit. How was your upbringing, being raised in Tulsa, Oklahoma, on the north side, which, you know, it has this narrative which a lot of times is false. I'm a product of that area too, you know, but to me it wasn't so bad. But how was it for you growing up?
It wasn't bad for me as well, and I tell people all the time here, I grew up in Turley. And I tell them, I'm a part of the Turley alumni. If you look on there, you'll see my name on there. Yeah, so I'm a part of it. I grew up out here. I embraced it. I love it, and that's why I always want to give back to the North. You know? So
how was home life for you? You got siblings?
Yes, I got 2 sisters. I'm the only boy.
Are you the baby?
I'm the baby.
Oh wow, you gotta break that down for me. How is that, man?
Man, it had its challenges because I have 2 sisters. You know, being the only boy, and I got what I wanted. You know, mom took care of me. She took my word over there. She let me do what I wanted to do. Man, it was beautiful. My sister still talk about that right today.
How long did it take for you to realize that, oh snap, I got the upper hand here. I can sort of play these two against each other, and I can win this?
Well, it didn't take me long. And I knew that I was the baby boy. You know, and I knew that I could do things that they couldn't do. So, you know, they went out of their way to try to get me back. You know, if I stayed out a little too late or did things that boys did, they would make sure they told my mother.
Oh, man. So was there ever the flip side of that coin to where y'all had your spats, your rivalries, but was there a code in place? Like, okay, at the end of it, you my sister or you my brother, I got your back. Were there ever some instances where they came to your aid?
Well, it was always the other way around. I always came to their aid.
Really?
Oh, yes. Me and my sisters, we grew up, you know, cousins. I got some cousins, they're like family to me. The Cravens, Johnny, Dwayne Craven, the Bill Craven, all of them, Donnell, they all cousins of mine. And we all grew up like family, so we all looked out for each other. So it wasn't they having my back. It was more so the guys having the girls' back more than anything in the world.
Yeah, and that's interesting to me, considering the fact that you're younger, but you still felt that sense of protection over your big sisters.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
That's solid.
No doubt.
Okay, so since we always sort of compare the times of old to the current times now in terms of how good kids have it or how easy they have it, what was some of the chores that you had growing up? What are some of the stuff you were responsible for at the house?
Taking out the trash.
Yeah?
That's it.
That was it?
That's it, baby.
Oh, you
Keeping my room clean. I had two sisters, man. They
Right.
cooked, they cleaned, they did everything else.
Oh, so you just
I had
made
to make sure the trash was taken out.
Easy.
Yeah.
So did they police you in a lot of ways to where your mother didn't even have to?
No.
Oh, no.
No. My mom taught me at an early age. She taught me how to cook, clean, wash clothes. She told me I wouldn't need a woman for nothing but one thing. So
Hello. I'll
yeah.
use my imagination to know what that one thing
Yeah,
is.
leave that one thing out there.
Okay. So what about your athletic background, man? And this me, really, I don't know the answer to this question, but maybe I'm just assuming. But anybody who is a coach or has coached and they were any good at it, I automatically think this guy got to have some sort of background in this sport. So during your time, how was it?
I played basketball at Gilcrease and I played basketball at McLean before I joined the Army. Yeah.
Did you know you wanted to join the Army, man?
I knew I wanted to join the Army 6 months into my senior year because, like I said, I got two sisters. At the time, both of them had babies like 9 days apart.
Really?
Yes. So
Whoa.
I knew in the way Tulsa was, I had a couple looks, Southeast and Southwestern, but I knew I needed to make it on my own. So I wanted to start. So 7 days after I graduated, I was gone.
Nobody pressed you.
Nobody pressed me. I didn't look back once I left. I was out. And I didn't come back until 2000.
Okay, so if you don't mind me asking, what year was that when you graduated?
1980.
1980.
No hesitation.
20 years.
I was gone for 21 years.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, was it just time when you came back?
No, it was just, I knew I only wanted to do 20 years and I wanted to come back and start a new lifetime. See, right now, I'm 21 years into my second career. So I've been teaching since February the 1st, 2001.
Hey, man, the timing of us having this conversation can't even be more perfect then. But, okay, so tell me about the military experience or the Army experience, man. How was it? I would imagine that you literally grew up in the Army since you went at, what, 18?
Yes.
Take me through that journey.
That's where I cut my teeth.
Uh-huh.
So, I don't like to brag on things, but I was like at the top of my field in the Army.
Mm-hmm.
I did 3 years as a drill sergeant. Top 10% of the drill sergeants in the Army get selected to teach drill sergeant school. I taught drill sergeant school. I made my senior ranks in the field, my job field, which was heavy construction.
Mm-hmm.
The average person retired as an E6 staff sergeant.
Right.
I retired as an E8 first sergeant and could have made sergeant major if I would have stayed at that extra time, and I didn't want to stay that extra time.
So you made your plan and committed to it, never
Committed
wavered.
to it, didn't waver.
So once you came back home, right, to Tulsa, Oklahoma, was there a phase or a period of time that it took for you to sort of reintegrate yourself into regular life?
It was adjustment. It was a hard adjustment because I'm used to having structure.
Yeah.
I'm used to time management. So when I jump back into the school system, I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be somewhat structured and things like that. And I'm like, no.
It wasn't that?
No. It was so unstructured when I got back into civilian world. I was almost to the point where I was going to say, man, I'm finna check it in and going back in the military.
Right.
Because I was just so used to the structure. So as time went by, I realized my place. And that came from when I started with the Tulsa Titans and all of that.
Right.
Working with people like yourself, that showed me that I had a purpose and that there's a reason for me to be here, be back and doing what I'm doing.
Was teaching already in the plans when you came back, or did you sort of pick that up?
Oh, no, it was already in the plans.
Already in the plan.
My last year in the Army, I had paved my way to come back and come straight into Tulsa Public Schools.
And you went to?
Rogers for about a week and then to Monroe.
How does that work? Well, was that just a little old trial period?
Well,
like, see how I like it, and then
here's how that worked out. Soon as I got to Rogers, the guy at Monroe quit. He couldn't handle our kids. So they needed someone to go to Monroe, and I was like, hey, I'll go. That's where I want to be anyway. I want to be back out north with our people.
Mm-hmm.
So I jumped at it.
How was the dialogue between you and those young people before, when you're sort of establishing yourself and they're learning you, you're learning them, and there's sort of an introductory period, right, to where it's like, I'm trying to figure this guy out, you trying to figure them out, they're trying to learn what you're about, and you're learning what you're up against. How was that?
It was real easy for me because when I told them where I was from, and I told them I was just like them, and in fact I told them they are better than I was at the time when I was their age. So we connected right off the bat. It was a connection right off the bat.
And you're teaching JROTC at this time.
JROTC.
Man, I went through that when I think either 6th or 7th grade, and I can remember, at least during that period of time, that wasn't the cool thing to do. You gotta put on what you gotta put on.
Oh yeah.
You gotta handle those obligations, and people that aren't in it, they're looking at you, they laughing, they clowning you, and that's a very awkward age anyway. So, how did they accept it?
At Monroe, they was real good with it because I was teaching them life skills.
Right.
I was telling them that there's a way past the north side of Tulsa. Piney, Peoria. A lot of people don't deviate from Piney, Peoria, don't know about the south side of town. So I was telling them, their goal should be to get out of the north side of Tulsa and just experience life. So, and once they start buying what I was selling, man, it was easy.
Which ones would you say buy in more from an all-around standpoint, boys or girls? Not just coaching, but period.
In my program, I'll tell anybody any day of the week I'll take females over males.
I'm not surprised that you said that.
Yeah.
For some reason, boy, we just got to touch that stove.
Oh yeah, they got to see how hot it is.
So how long were you out there at Monroe?
I was at Monroe from 2001 to 2006.
Okay, a little 5-year window.
Yeah.
What brought about the change?
Well, I realized I came out here for an interview. The principal asked me to come out here
To Edison?
to look at turning this program. This program was on its last leg, averaging about 30 students in there, and we're supposed to have at least 100 in each program.
Ooh.
And so they were on their last leg, and they asked me and another guy who was at another middle school to come here and see if we could turn the thing around, and we spent it in 2 years.
Ooh.
Where it is. We won Program of the Year 2 years running. I kind of think we broke the mold of that. People started complaining, so they did away with the Program of the Year stuff. But we broke the mold. We came here in 2006, 2007, learned it. The next year we won it. The next year we won it. They killed the Program of the Year.
Man, so I guess y'all making too much noise too quickly.
Still got the trophies in the trophy case
Okay,
right now.
you know what I'm saying? Just let it be known. Just in
Let it
case
be known.
folks forget. So did y'all's numbers go up pretty much immediately once y'all got here?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Right now, this program is running on 10 years straight winning Tulsa Public Schools drill meet.
Oh, man, that's key, man.
Yeah, so.
That's key. So would you say that it was just basically time for another challenge at that point when you left Monroe and came on that?
What I realized that, hey, our kids are leaving the north side and coming here. And so you walk in this building, it's probably maybe about 3 to 4 African Americans in this building.
Today? Really?
Yes.
Well, see, as you know, I graduated high school your first year over here, 06, 07. So
Right.
it was way different during that time, even over here. Okay, so when did coaching start for you?
Well, I coached at Monroe.
Didn't know that. Okay.
I coached at Monroe. It was me and Marco Harris. We were together.
I did know that. Okay, so yeah, we talking the early 2000s.
Yeah.
When I was in middle school.
Yeah, so
y'all winning all them championships.
We was winning all them championships.
Sick of y'all, man.
Yeah, man. We was putting in work.
All right.
Yes. And so when I got over here, Michael Parrish found out that I coached basketball.
Uh-huh.
So he kind of set me up. Had the principal call me into the office and say, I need you to coach basketball. I said, I'm a basketball referee. I'm not coaching basketball. You're not, and he said, you're not listening to me. I need you to coach basketball. So about after the third or fourth time him saying that, I realized, I guess I'm going to be coaching basketball. So that's when that started for me.
You started officiating before you started coaching? Is that what I'm hearing?
As soon as I got back to Tulsa, I jumped on the officiating deal, and I started refereeing high school basketball as soon as I got back.
Yeah, we're going to circle back to that because we're going to go at length on that. Okay, so you start coaching at the high school level. You're working with Mike Parrish. Did y'all have any any pre-existing relationship before he hired you?
None.
Flat out
Zero.
strangers.
Flat out strangers.
How was the dynamic of y'all's relationship, starting as a working relationship, and now I'm pretty sure y'all are good friends personally?
Yeah. Well, we got to learn each other over time. You know, when I came here, it was me and Jamal West. I know you know Coach
Yes,
West.
sir.
So Coach West and we came in at the same time, and then we brought my son, who was at Rogers. We brought him over here, and a dude named Cameron Langston, and we built this program.
Yeah.
Before we got here, they never made it out of the first round of regionals.
Yep.
My first year here with this new coaching staff, we went to state.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that. And Cameron graduated from over here in 05. He
Yeah.
was 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
Good Lord. So, man, it sounds like y'all hit the ground running, putting in work.
We hit the ground running. We changed the culture.
Yeah.
You know, Big Willie,
Creekmore.
I threw him out of practice.
Oh, you got to, man.
That's the first thing I did when I got here. I threw Will out of practice, and we had a great relationship from that day forward.
I love him dearly, but man, that dude, man, I'll tell him to this day, and he knows it. He was a supreme a-hole.
Oh yeah,
But he get the job done out here.
Oh yeah,
You want him on your team rather than across from you.
Oh yeah.
So, what was your role on the staff? And the reason why I'm asking that is because I think, as a head coach now, we're gonna get overly praised for a lot of things, just like we'll probably get overly criticized. But our operation don't run without my help, for real.
Right.
So, what was your role?
My role, defense.
Mm.
I control the defense. I call the defensive plays and specifically worked with the big men.
Oh yeah, nosebleed section.
Yeah.
I'm loving that.
I got down there and I got dirty right down there with the big guys.
Okay. And you said you had your son on the staff with you, along with you.
And he just assisted me at the time because he was young.
Uh-huh.
He was fresh out of college. So he
Yeah.
was young, and him and I, we would take the big men, and he would follow my lead. Coach West called the offenses and all of that, and we just ran it. Parrish would go to the top of the bleachers and just look down like he's just overseeing practice. And
Right.
we just did everything.
Y'all ran it it sounds almost like a football coach's staff. You
Yep.
got your DC over here, you got your OC
yeah.
over here. We just overseeing as a head.
Oh yeah, and we surrounded him. I sit on his right. Jamal sit on his left. He sit in between us, and we just made it work.
Having such big personalities of those names that I know, because I know y'all pretty well, having such big personalities on that bench, was there ever a clash in terms of who's the alpha, and having to get those roles re-established?
One time.
Okay.
One time. And that's when he said he's not going to be out coached by his assistant coaches. But other than that, he just let us do our thing.
I hear that. I hear that. But I think even those types of moments are healthy.
Yeah.
Because
Definitely.
no two people see anything exactly the same way.
Correct.
Maybe similarly, but not exactly the same.
Correct.
And then we don't need a whole sideline full of Raymond Shippses.
No, you don't.
Need a couple of different perspectives.
You're right.
Okay. Has it always been just basketball that you coached?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Nothing else.
We're in the same boat on that.
No, I don't see nothing else but basketball.
Okay, so what took you out of the mix as a coach? And I see you now, and correct me if I misspeak, I see you in the role of an official and as an administrator, more so than I do in action as a coach. So when did that sort of fall by the wayside?
2000 and right after we finished up the season in 2010, I got hired Division I
As an official?
as an official.
Okay.
And so once I did that, it took me away from the floor.
Yeah. Well, I guess you can only do two things at one time for so long.
Yeah, because you gone.
Yeah. When you first got into officiating, we'll pivot and go that direction. Did you have the foresight to know that, hey, I want to take this thing up several levels and see how far I can go with it? Or was this just something in the beginning to serve as, some side money?
Well, basketball really wasn't about the money to me. And I tell that with the guys that I train now. If
Right.
you get into this game about the money, you might as well just go work at the YMCA or something like that. Because this is about giving back. Because, I feel like we are coaches on the floor as well. Because we teaching these guys to be able to listen to authority, be able to follow instructions, play by the rules, and we're just as much as part of the game. I like to say I'm just as much as part of the game as those players, except I don't get a sub.
That's interesting. That's good. I say that's interesting because I've always heard the first half of that statement said in reverse. Like we're not. I would hear stuff like we're not trying to be a part of the game. We want to be invisible. Which, in context, I get that too. But that right there was interesting to me. You don't get a sub. You locked in, all three of you.
I got to be. Yep. And so, And so it's 3 teams out there on the floor, and we're not out here. I think back to my days when I played.
Mm-hmm.
And when I played, I came up in the 70s, late 70s. I played junior high 75 through 77, 78 through 80. I was at playing high school. And I think about the times when we went out and they talk about 7-on-5 or 8-on-5. We're playing 8-on-5 tonight. I felt 7-on-5 when I played back in the day. You know, it wasn't easy for us going to places like Wagner or somewhere like that to play, because we knew if they wasn't gonna rock our bus, they was gonna do something to us on the floor. So,
you know, I always look at that as, not when you said it, but when other people say it of today, say, man, we got to play against 8 tonight. We got to play against 7. I just immediately, I'm turning my nose up like, you got a built-in excuse already.
yeah.
But you said you lived through it.
Yeah, I lived it. And so my goal was, when I started officiating, I was never going to cheat a kid, because I know what it felt like to cheat a kid, be cheated in a basketball game.
Is there a difference between these two words, fairness and consistency?
I like to think they're part of the same, because our goal is to be consistent.
Right.
You know, we could be consistently right or consistently wrong, but if we're consistent, that means we're not hurting one team, because I tell referees it's about possessions to you guys. I don't take possessions away from a team, because possessions can win or lose a basketball game for you.
Without a doubt.
So my goal is to get all of my out of bounds right. My goal is to get my absolute plays that we automatically know that's a foul, right?
Cut and dry.
Cut and dry. I don't want to guess, because if I guess, that's when I'm taking a possession away from them.
Can you think of a moment in a particular game where you just made a complete blunder of things?
Oh, it happens at least once a game.
Oh, really?
Yo, I mean, I know I'm not perfect.
Right.
And what I do is I go straight back to the tape and look at it and say, yep, Shipps, you kicked that. You know, and hey, I got to get better from it.
I got you.
Yeah.
It's like a never-ending process.
That's
huh?
right.
So I've seen you at work. I've seen you reffing games. Obviously, you've called some of my team's games, and I've seen you coaching other officials when they're calling games. So who trained you? Who brought you up?
Eddie Jackson. Eddie Jackson is one of the guys I really look up to, along with a guy named Winston Stitt, who's out of Wichita, and those guys got me into college basketball, and I'm in constant conversation with them all the time. And you know, Winston is really my roughest critic, because he's
Even
like
still?
me. Yes, he's like me. You know, he tell me I have to be 10 times better than my white counterpart. You know, so we're held to a different standard. You know, people don't want to admit that, but it's a fact. So, you know, everything, to the way my shoes are when I hit the floor, to the way my pants are, the way I dress, the whole 9 yards, it's got to be on point when I hit the floor. And so, you know, the way I hustle, I can't be taking plays off. You know, you take plays off, you cheat the game. You cheat the game, you might as well get off the floor. So.
How hard is it getting that particular point across to, I guess, a new, relatively young, up-and-coming official these days? When it comes to, because I always hear all the time, the difference between good and great is in the details, and you just gave me a lot of details right there, from your physical presentation, looking the part, and all of this before you even get to the actual job. So imagine you having a conversation with somebody who's in their early 20s, and they're black just like you, and they're wanting to get into this, and maybe they don't take all of those small things as seriously as you do and as you were taught to. How do you approach that?
Well, number one, they all have a goal of trying to referee high school basketball. That's where they start at.
Right.
And so, you know, if they don't look the part, right, and they don't hustle to get in position, then I'm going to get a phone call from you. So I tell them that they're a product of me, and I have to be a living example every time I get on the floor.
Right.
Because I know I got eyes on me every time I get on the floor, and they're going to make sure I'm doing everything right. So I got to practice what I preach. If I teach every Wednesday night in the off season. My organization, we don't take no weeks off.
Right.
We go right at it in the off season.
And that's with no pay. That's
with no pay.
That's professional development, basically.
That's all it is. That's all it is. And we're just paying it forward. And it leads into our camp season. Our camp season, we go in June. We stop 2 weeks before the season supposed to start so that we can get a couple weeks off just to get ready to go for the year, because we started in the 26th of September.
Right.
And we've been going. You've been at my meeting. We've been going the same way every Wednesday.
Getting ready.
We're getting ready. So
now, I think there's a human element that goes into everything. You know what I'm saying, Coach? So when you're in the heat of the battle, it's a hostile environment, for lack of a better term, and emotions are running high. How do you calculate just how much you're going to tolerate from a player who's mouthy, whether it's to you or where you can hear it, and a coach who's being mouthy towards you?
I try not to take nothing personal that come out of a player's mouth, because I've been a player before.
Mm-hmm.
I've been that player before. I've been that coach before. And I understand that the coach, I think like myself, I am just as much in part of the game, into the game as the players.
Right.
As an official, I'm into it just as much as the players. Like I said last night in our game at Booker T, hey, this is not personal till they say you, we, then anything personal, that's when I say, okay, now it's time to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
We don't respond to statements. We respond to questions. So if you tell me that was the travel, that's your opinion. I keep on moving. Then you would say, why was that not a travel? Then I'll explain it to you. So I try not to take nothing personal on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I try to teach them by the rules, okay, on the floor. So, I talk to kids on the floor. And I tell them in my meetings, I said, hey, when I'm talking to you, I'm not blowing. But when you don't want to listen, you're going to hear my whistle.
Right. This is what you tell them at the captain's meeting?
I tell them that, just like that.
One thing that's always been sort of fascinating to me, just as you guys have the captain's meetings with the players and the coaches before the games, I heard an official way back when, I don't even remember who it was, first of all, told me that you guys have y'all's officials pregame meeting before you even take the floor.
Exactly.
And as much as I should be like, duh, they do, it just didn't register with me until he said that. So what type of conversations are being had as far back as you want to pull the curtain that y'all are having before you hit the floor?
Well, I can tell you, we start an hour before the game.
Okay.
We start an hour before the game. We in the locker room before the game. And we pregame, both teams, coaches, who we got to protect.
Right.
Who's the star? Who's the ball going to touch? Who's got to be on the floor? Who do the fans come see? We talk about all of that.
Right.
We talk about the offenses that you run. We talk about all of that. So we get into we do our homework just like you do for your opponents.
So y'all got to know the game.
Yeah.
All right. And when you get out there and you got, this what I wanted to ask you. Okay, so I've seen some instances where assistant coaches got their head coaches in trouble. Okay, so what are those guys limited to as far as being assistants? What the rule is, they can't be speaking to you guys or they can't be standing up. What's the do's and the don'ts for assistants?
Well, I try to teach our guys this. First of all, with an assistant coach, that assistant coach can be a head coach one day. Mm-hmm. And he's going to remember his relationships or her relationships with that official.
Okay.
So I try to talk to that assistant the same way that I would talk to the head coach. Now, when the assistant's up being belligerent or make a mockery of game, then I put that assistant coach on the bench and I tell him, Ken Hovind used to say this all the time, assistant coaches should be seen and not heard. They should go down to the other end and get the towel and give it to the head coach. But that's all they should be doing.
Man, that sounds like something. That sounds like something he was saying. What would you say, in your estimation, are some of the most commonly missed calls, or most commonly blown, or most commonly misunderstood calls? Right.
There's a thing that we got in there. Of course, we know about the block charge. Mm-hmm. That's a call that can be, depends on what side of the fence you're on. You right. think it's the call that should be going your way. Mm-hmm. But right now it's verticality.
Okay. Jumping straight on up as opposed to jumping out?
We call it jumping A to B.
Oh. Break that down for me, Coach. Even though you told me and the guys a couple weeks ago, so I already know. But for the viewers and the listeners, what does that mean?
So verticality, when you jump in vertical, that means you jump straight up to the ceiling. A to B is when you're taking one step and jumping towards your opponent.
Okay, so yeah, that body contact basically is being initiated by the defender.
Correct.
Foul.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, if you jump vertical and there's contact, it only could be by one person. That's the offense.
Sheesh. So when it comes to the block charge call, is this a rule or is this just something that people love to holler out? He didn't take it in the chest.
You don't have to take it in the chest.
Okay.
All they have to do is have 2 feet on the ground facing their opponent. No time or distance is required.
Okay, so the direction in which he falls doesn't matter either.
No matter.
Oh, okay. So is that one that's pretty high on the list for people, chewing on you for that?
Well, you think about, I had a game last week, Friday, at Rogers in the Rogers tournament. It was Northwest Classen
Bixby?
in Bixby.
That's a hell of a game, man.
Hell of a game. The coach came into the locker room afterwards because he told me that I missed the call and he was going to come into the locker room. He was going to send me the tape. Well, I was still sitting in the locker room. He came in there with his iPad. I'm sitting in there just relaxing.
Right.
And then he's going to say, "Here, I told you missed the call." And I said, "You know what, Coach? You just validated my call because look at his feet. They don't understand a player can start to turn his body a little bit to absorb the contact so they don't have to take the contact back, as long as his feet don't move."
I didn't know that till right now.
Yes. So he was just absorbing the contact. Feet didn't move, didn't lean or anything like that. I said, "Coach, that's a charge all day long." I said, 99.9% of the officials are going to tell you the same thing.
So imagine me, you coming at me full head of steam with the basketball in your hands. I cover up myself to protect myself. I got my feet planted, they're not moving, but I do one of these.
Oh, you haven't done nothing wrong.
Really? Okay, well, I got to change the way I'm coaching.
You can almost start falling back a little bit. Yes.
Oh.
Yes, as long as your knees don't buckle.
Okay. Okay.
If I start to sit down on you, there's a difference. So if I'm starting to sit down on you, then I automatically know that you're starting to what we call now in the college game flop.
Fair enough. Dang. Because I got a vision in my mind right now. One of my big fella, big 6'5", 240. He set up and took a charge, and he was on his way back. And I thought it was clean, but I didn't question it. But then now that I think about it, he did start to buckle those knees on the way down before the contact.
Yeah.
So okay, that makes sense. Now how about when the ball is loose, right? And we got two players, one from each team, obviously, going for it, and there's contact being made. Their bodies clash when pursuing the basketball.
As long as they're not diving on, that's just incidental contact. Now, when they dive on the top of them, that's an emphasis now. That's a point of emphasis in high school and in college. Diving on is going to be an automatic foul. We also know that there's going to be incidental contact no matter how egregious that contact is.
So in other words, ain't no more overreacting to the impact of somebody hitting the floor.
No. Ooh. So if they go diving at a loose ball and they both have right to the ball, that's incidental contact. And we play on. Other than that, as long as they don't dive on the top. When you see them dive on the top, you're going to see a referee coming up with that fist.
Oh, yeah. So first to the floor. That's a good way to think about it.
Yep.
Okay, so let's say if it's a marquee matchup and you and your crew, you guys are coming into one of those games. Let's say one of those Booker T. McLean matchups from back in the day, or one of Booker T. Central or Central McLean. So is the preparation or the approach going into that game any different than it will be on any other night on a game that may not be as eventful?
It's still that way right now. Okay. I know when I assign referees for the McLean Central game, I got to put people on there that have thick skin.
Got you.
And not going to go out there and be intimidated by what's going on around them.
Right.
Because in that environment, it's going to be hostile. Because everybody over there know each other.
Yeah, it's a community event.
Yes, so it's going to be hostile. It's going to be loud. It's going to be a little rivalry, and there's been a rivalry since I played it. So I put people on that game that understand the environment.
I can remember roughly 2 weeks ago when Memorial came over to the house and they beat us, man, like we stole from them. But early on in the game, before the deficit got out of control, I can remember my leading scorer. He gets on a roll, knocks down about 2 or 3 shots back to back to back, and then he does a celebration that that's sort of degrading to the other to the opposition. And I just knew right off the rip, I'm like, yeah, that's technical foul. So I got my sub already up, getting ready to check into the game and get him. But one of the officials, Dwight, he came to me and said, Coach, I gave him a warning because I understand what's going on in here. But he would have been well within his rights to hit us with a tech. And then a couple possessions later, the opposition did the same thing or something very similar, and he gave them that warning too. And I was like, man, I wonder if this was – I mean, it's got to be just them understanding where we are and what this is tonight. And I just thought that was major.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't just benefit me either. It benefited them too.
And just like I told Coach last night, I don't want to bring something in the game that's going to hurt the value of this game right now.
Right.
So help me.
Mm-hmm.
You talking Monday night, I had a game at Mid-American.
Right.
At Mid-American and Southwest Christian. Rivalry game.
Yeah.
Christian school rivalry game in the SAC. And, when the ball go through the net, they're not supposed to touch it.
Exactly.
So the player from Southwest Christian grabbed the ball, and he just rolled the ball. And I said, get the ball. The coach said, don't touch the ball. So I stopped the game and gave that coach a warning because he didn't want to help me, and I realized I was helping him.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to introduce that delay into the game.
Right.
Well, maybe 2-3 minutes later, his player flopped on a 3-point shot. Mm-hmm. That's his second delay. He cost his team an administrative technical foul.
Wow. Okay, hold on, Coach. I never knew that there was a such thing. So he flopped, didn't get the whistle.
No, if you lay down or you head bob in college, that's flopping. You see the referee throw his hands out like that. When you see the referee throw his hands out, that means he's going to shut it down. First chance, put a warning in the book on flopping.
Never knew that.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so all right, so that's under the same umbrella as a delay of game.
That's
I make
right.
a layup and I hit the ball out of the net to try to save me a couple seconds to turn around and get back.
Yep.
Ooh. Okay, so since you touched on college, what are some of the fundamental differences of officiating at the college level versus at the high school level?
I say nothing.
Really?
It's a game.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing is different is the rules.
Okay, some a bit more strenuous?
They most streamlined both in men's and high school.
Mm.
So only thing different in men in high school to me is on technical fouls, we go points of emphasis. In college. In high school, we go to the midcourt line.
Mm.
Other than that, I go opposite when I call a foul. In high school, I stay table side.
Wow. So pretty much everything that's inbounds at the high school level is what's inbounds at the college level.
College has 4 inbounding spots, unless it's just a regular out of bounds.
Mm. What are those 4 inbound spots? Break them
You
down.
had the 28-foot line, and they have a 3-foot tick mark on the baseline. Mm-hmm. And those are the 4 spots they go to after a foul or a violation.
When was your first introduction to officiating at the college level? Can you remember your first college game?
I really can't because I started refereeing college basketball in 2001.
Yeah, and to see, if I don't catch myself, I still call this millennium the new millennium.
Yes.
And we're more than 2 decades in. Oh, my goodness. So was it an adjustment period that you went through once you got to the college level, whether it be the pace or the physicality of the game?
I think it was the pace at first. The game was moving faster than I was.
Right.
And I think that's because, we've said in our mind this is a different level,
Right.
I'm talking about somebody who come off when I first moved back to Tulsa.
Right.
I went my first year refereeing high school basketball. I went to the area finals.
Okay. Well, what class? You remember?
5A, 6A.
Ooh.
My
right
second year I went to state. Third year went to state. Fourth year I threw it up, and I stopped refereeing high school playoffs because I didn't want to take something away from somebody else. I've already got my run at it. So, but that's when I really got hot and heavy off into college ball in the JUCO, Forest, the Jayhawk. I've been to the JUCO national tournament at the Division II and the JUCO national tournament at the Division I. I went to Division I JUCO 7 years straight.
Man,
college championship, everything.
you must be pretty good, coach.
I'm all right. I'm all right.
Now, would you say the Jayhawk Conference is the best junior college conference in the country?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I've always heard that from some
I'm
products
not
of
going
that
to
conference.
I'm not going to hesitate.
I just wanted to make sure there was no bias. So
No,
you had to
no,
use-
there is no bias. No, in fact, I don't call it the Jayhawk anymore. I still call it the OCAC. But my time in the Jayhawk, I'm talking about I seen some of the best basketball that I've seen as far as you go in that Jayhawk conference.
Man. Coach, the last question as it pertains to, things in the officiating world. I think all of it is people work. You're sort of in the kid business. You got younger kids, obviously, at this level, and then you got older kids at this level. But how impactful has just interacting with those different figures at each level been for you? Because even though you're not coaching, you develop some relationships with these kids. The name and face recognition, they know who you are. You've been officiating them ever since Yay High. You know who they are. How's that, man?
Oh, look at you and I.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did I coach you or I helped coach you, but I refereed your games in junior high, in high school, in college.
Yeah.
I
remember that.
I think about you at USAO.
Right.
So I got to experience every level of you. Now look at what we're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
I get to be a cheerleader for you, watching you coach. Me and my good friend Marco, we sit over there. I was supposed to come back to work last Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sitting over there watching your whole game. I said, I'm just going to watch a half. Me and Marco sit there and watch the whole game because, we seen where you came. And that relationship that you and I have that started way back when you was in junior high, I mean, it carries right on today. So, that's the best part of this. And it also helped me to recruit young players who are done with high school and done with college to start giving back, start putting a little extra money in their pocket to officiate, and it helped grow the game because it gives them something to feel like they're a part of.
And my deal is you got all this knowledge or this wisdom and this experience in whatever you do. Don't just hold on to it.
No.
We got to pay that thing forward.
That's right.
We'll never be able to pay you guys back the way that y'all, to sort of even rival all the things y'all did for us. So we could just pour it back into the, everybody coming behind us.
You are paying us back. I don't never want you to think you're not paying the Lester Johnsons, the Derek Lewises, and the Marco Harrises and Raymond Shipps is back because you paying us back by what you're doing right now. So don't ever think you're not paying us back because you are.
Will do. Well, Coach, here's how we'll wrap this thing up, man. I call this the all due disrespect segment, man. So what I want you to do as a competitor, if you can think back into the archives, right, whenever you were coaching, whether you were on the staff at Edison or one of the other coaching experiences, you lost a game. Your team lost to a team that you feel as though y'all shouldn't have lost to at all, and you still feel like that today. If you could go hit the rewind button, go back in time, run this game back, play it over, which game would it be?
When we played 2010, Creed, I had a squad with Creed, Lil Clyde, and we were loaded. We had DJ Mahone, Aaron Pons, all them coming off the bench. We could run 10 to 11 players off the bench.
Right. Now, just for the record, was Smoot dressing varsity that year yet?
Yes.
Oh, he was? Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, he wasn't lying there.
Yes. And so we had all of those guys. Okay. And our first game of the season, we was coming in ranked number 1 in the state. We went over to Memorial, and we laid an egg that night, and they beat the brakes off of us.
Season opener.
Ooh.
And in 09, y'all got to the state finals, correct? Lost in the finals.
Lost in the finals to Guthrie.
I remember that.
Yeah. So we came in the next year. We had everybody back. We only had one senior on that state finals team. One senior, Trayvon Thompson.
Man.
Everybody was back. And we came in, we had Tim Smallwood on that squad, everybody. So, we just knew we was gonna run through them. We was gonna run through everybody in Tulsa. And shoot, man, they jumped on us and just beat us down. And I think about that. That's one of the most difficult times I had coming out of that. But 3 games later, they came over here. That's when my boy Creed went crazy.
He went nuts.
Oh
man,
that's where the flower power came from.
Okay, don't tell you. Is this the one we got that dunk in here?
Yes.
Oh man, look here. Okay.
I mean, he lived on that other side, on that side over there, shooting them threes.
Right.
That boy right there would let it go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you just confirmed some stories right here. I always got to fact check my guys.
I call him Shooter. I don't call him Creed. When we talk,
Yeah.
I call him Shooter. I said, "What's up, Shooter?"
Just like that.
Just like that. That's how we do.
He still got the strap on him too, Coach. Well, listen, man, I can sit here and rap with you all night long, but, I definitely had you on my list of people that I wanted to get across from and listen to your story for a long time, and I'm glad we got to get our schedules in alignment so we could do this. But I'm a fan of yours. I got love for you. I appreciate all the influence that you've had on me over the years and the fact you're still doing it and you don't seem to be slowing down. So salute to you, my good man.
I appreciate you.
Oh, yes, sir.
You, no doubt.
I'll probably be seeing you in the stripes sooner or later. Oh, you don't wear the stripes no more. It's gray and black these days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, it still got some stripes on it. Y'all just don't see them, them little pinstripes,
Yeah.
We got to look good.
Official. We out of here.